What's going on? Welcome back. So today we're gonna finish this piece up, and in honor of that, I got the Photoshop Warrior headband on. Get yours today. Official merch. There is no merch. There is no merch at all. So, the first thing I see about this piece that we have going on is just going back into it, I'm noticing something, and the saturation on my character is a little desaturated in comparison to her. You notice she's a little more saturated and I'm a little less saturated, so I'm just gonna bring up the saturation on me so it's more consistent with her. So I'm gonna go into my upper body layer and just put in a hue saturation adjustment and clip it to that and just pump up the saturation. 15 looks good, so let's do 15. And I want to do the same to my head layer too, so the head matches. So I'm going to just duplicate that adjustment and bring it up here and clip it to the head layer. And there we go. All right, so now our two saturation levels are a little more consistent. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add like a bandolier around my shoulder and my chest, like one of those belts that hold like bullets. So we're gonna bring in that image, and again, I had to center this because you couldn't really see anything, but you could kind of see something, so I didn't want to take any chances, so just blocked it all out. So I'm going to take this bandolier and bring it in. That is too close. So how do I look? Do I look like Rambo, Karate Kid, or just some idiot in a bandana? I think I know. I think I know which one. All right, so let's make that selection. Paste that in. And I'm gonna put it right about there. It's a little dark, so let me lighten that up. All right. Now I got a little too much. Let's zoom out. It's a little too thick right here. Like it's a little too much. Like here it's pretty thin, and here it's much thicker. So I'm just gonna decrease this and make it a little less thick. So I'm just gonna cut this whole side off. Cut that out. Put that behind. And just move that over. Match that edge to that edge. And I'm going to go into liquify just to tweak it a little more. You can tweak things a little more precisely in liquify. And just make some minor adjustments. All right, I think we're good. So I'm gonna put a mask on this and clean up this edge here. Just gonna erase this part and just like that. And I'm just gonna put a bevel on the edge here to match this highlight. So I'm just going to duplicate that layer, turn the fill off, and Go for a bevel. All right, that's good. Just nudge that so it's on the very edge. And go into the clipping mask, and we'll just erase where we don't need it. Like up here and up here, we don't need it. And I'm also just going to paint in some highlights there too. Take a small brush and just going to paint in Alright, so now let's paint in a shadow underneath the bandolier. And while we're at it, let's just make that into a group. Alright, put our shadow layer on multiply. Take a sample of dark skin. And just gonna start painting that in. I don't use a drop shadow because a drop shadow won't take into account like the contours of his body, so it'll look fake. It'll look really fake. So I'm gonna paint in the shadows. That way, we get all the contours, so it looks much more real. Maybe just a little bit right there. Okay, so we got our bandolier looking good, but what are we gonna put inside the bandolier? What are we gonna put inside these little holes here? We're not gonna put bullets. We are gonna put a bunch of Wacom styluses. Now, you may be thinking, it doesn't make sense to have one big Wacom stylus here, then have a bunch of little tiny Wacom styluses. That doesn't make sense. That's not consistent. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So, just go with it. So, we're just going to clip this out. Alright. And let's paste that in. Much too big, obviously, so let's scale that down a bunch. I guess these will keep to normal scale, roughly, so. And let's label that stylus, because we're going to end up making a bunch of those. To a second group for that, called styluses. Styluses? I don't know if that's correct, but we're gonna keep it. So we're just gonna duplicate this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna fill every single like little empty space with a Wacom stylus, but we'll see. So the tricky part is when the perspective starts to change. You gotta start subtly making changes. Okay, those are a little too big. Those are a little too big, so I'm gonna scale them down. Probably should have zoomed out first before I made all these duplicates, but that's fine. That is fine. All right, let's zoom out and see how that looks. That's better. Might even take him down just a hair more. All right, so now I gotta go reposition all these again, because that's what I get for not checking their proportion zoomed out. Again, I kind of just want to subtly start adjusting these as I go. Maybe just like progressively make them smaller, and it's to like progressively change the angle. so I'm actually going to merge all of those just to make my life a lot easier. Gonna make a copy of it just so I have an extra, and then I'm just gonna merge that. There we go. Now I can adjust their lighting, you know, as kind of one cohesive unit as opposed to one at a time, which would be a pain in the butt. All right, so now I need to actually put them in the bandolier, because right now they're just sitting on top of it. So I need to mask this layer off so it looks like they're actually in the bandolier. And I'm gonna take this off. Sorry. This is annoying. Get out of here. Ah, there we go. So I'm just gonna mask all this off very roughly at first. And then I'm gonna go back in one by one and paint in every little bit of detail. Adjust these styluses so they're not so dark. See, the trick is to make them not look like it's just the same thing copied a million times, even though it is. So that's going to be the hard part with this. All right, so let's go back in there and refine that mask. So let's go in with our white. And just go back in here and bring these back in so they look like they're actually sitting in the bandolier. All right, so let's make a new layer and clip it to that layer. Put that on darken. And let's just start darkening up some areas, making some shadows where the bandolier overlaps. Oop, I need to fix that mask. All right, so I'm going to take that stylus layer and I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to clip that copy to the bandolier layer. And I'm just going to make it straight black. I'm going to put that on darken. And I'm just going to nudge it a little bit and use that as shadows from all the styluses. So I'm just going to blur that out a little bit and just turn that opacity down. All right, so we got our shadow on the actual bandolier. So now we need to make a shadow on my chest from all the styluses. So I'm going to duplicate that stylus layer again, and I'm going to do like a color overlay, and to take a sample out of my skin again. It's a dark skin sample, and I'm just going to put that on normal. I'm gonna delete that layer mask. And I'm gonna move that to the bottom underneath the bandolier. And just slightly nudge it to make a shadow. Calling that stylus shadows. And put that on multiply. Let's blur that out. And this is going to take some adjusting to look right, so let's go into warp. See here, the shadows are all messed up. Let's put a clipping mask on that. And just erase where it overlaps my body. And also tone it down here and a little here. Okay, so next I need to add a little bit of a highlight on the ones over here, because I got that highlighted rim lining on the side of my body here, so I want to match that on all the styluses. So I'm going to duplicate my stylus layer again. Gonna clip it to the layer, turn down the fill, and just go into bevel and emboss. First, I'm gonna make sure I check layer mask hides effect. All right. I think that's good. I only want that highlight on these right here, so I'm gonna go into my mask. And I'm just gonna mask everything off for now. And then I'm gonna go back with my white. And I'm just gonna paint in where I want that highlight. All right, so we left this last hole on the end empty, so let me just fill that in now. And I'm just gonna take a sample. Just gonna take this one right here. Just copy that, paste that, and put that, yeah, I'm gonna need to put that behind my body layer. There we go. And I'm gonna duplicate that, drag it down here, and do the same to this one here. All right, so this bandolier is like wrapped around my upper body. So you gotta imagine like right here where it kind of wraps and goes back. You're gonna see a little bit of the styluses in the back here from when it wraps around to my back. So we're gonna add those, and I'm just gonna duplicate our stylus and bandolier layer. Just gonna duplicate that, and I'm gonna flatten that. So now we have just a flattened version of the entire thing. And I'm just gonna copy like that. And just delete the rest. And I'm gonna bring that to the back. Just so you kind of get the feeling that they're wrapping around me. And I'm just gonna brighten those up a little bit since they're in the back. All right, so I got my Rambo-like bandolier of Wacom styluses. So next is I have some tattoos. So I'm gonna add some tattoos on my character. They're not gonna be exactly the tattoos I have, but close enough. So I got a tattoo file ready to go. And the first thing, I'm gonna add a crown. And I'm gonna put that around my bicep, like a tribal crown armband. So I'm just gonna distort it roughly. All right, so let's clip that to our body layer. I'm gonna put that on multiply. Oh, multiply. Warp that so it kind of follows the contours. And I'm going to take that opacity down. Alright, so let's put a clipping mask on that. And just kind of lighten it up where the highlight is. Alright, so next I'm going to add another tattoo right about there. And I'm going to steal this guy's tattoo. I'll take it right here. To about there. Alright, paste that in. Just turn it down a bit and just roughly warp it to the arm shape. It won't need to be exact because we're just going to clip it to the arm, but let's get it pretty close to start off with. Okay, so let's clip that to the arm. Create a clipping mask. And I'm going to desaturate that. And I'm going to bring over my whites. You know what? I need to multiply. Put on a multiply so I can see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to bring over the lights. And let's put a clipping mask on that. And just kind of mask it off where the highlights are. But I'm going to get rid of this thing in here. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to get rid of it. So we just have like a blank circle space in there. And in that circle, we're going to add, back to our tattoo file, going to add a skull with a crown. Again, because I am the king of compositing. In case I haven't drilled that into your head enough. Let's take this one with a beard, because I got a beard. Makes sense. Every king needs his crown. Or at the very least, a tattoo of a crown. If an actual crown is not available. Alright, so let's just kind of get it roughly about where we want it. About there. Let's try to kind of spread it to fit the shape pretty good. Alright, now let's blur that out a little bit. I'm gonna put that on multiply, and we're gonna take that down. Alright, put a mask on that. And again, just erase it on that highlight. And just take it back a little bit like that. And maybe go back into our original tattoo and kind of fill in the edges around it. Alright, so I have this monitor cracked right here, so I'm going to add some more cracked monitors in the back. I'm just going to take some broken glass pictures and overlay them on some of these screens. Alright, so let's open those broken glass pictures. Try that again. Open broken glass pictures. There we go. So I'm just going to select all of that and copy it. And let's go back to our pile layers into that screen group we made. Just going to paste that in. Obviously it's way too huge. So let's just stick that in there. And we're going to put one on screen. So we get our bright highlights, and we can just move the crack anywhere we want it. We'll just stick it right there. Just blur it out a bit. There we go. And I'm just going to duplicate that again and use that on a different screen. Maybe I'll just make like the crack about like that. So let's go back into our other broken glass texture I had. And select all, copy. Or I could just drag it in, that would work too. And gonna go into our other screen group over here. And let's scale that, let's put that one on this one. Alright, yeah, I don't think I need to put cracks in all of them. I just wanted a couple. Just wanted a couple to, just add some more details to it. Okay, so we're almost done. We're getting close. And now I'm just going to do some kind of this general color tweaks and color adjustments. I mean, at this point, it's just kind of personal preference. I mean, I could probably say the colors are fine as is, and they mostly are fine as is. I just want to make a couple tweaks. So I'm going to make a levels adjustment and go into the blue. That's wrong. Go into the red, excuse me, and go into the blacks, and I'm going to move the black over, and that kind of gives us this reddish color. That makes all the blacks a little bit more red. So let's keep it like that, and let's go into our clipping mask, and let's just completely block it all out. And so let's get a brush, and we're just gonna paint that back in down here. And so what I'm doing, I'm just increasing the red glow coming from the screen. Always zoom out just so we can get the big picture. Alright, yeah. Just made that red area a little more intense so it pops forward even more. But let's go into our sky. I think it might be a little too green back here, so I'm gonna put a mask on that and gonna get rid of some of that green color down here at the bottom. Let's see what else we can do. Let's make another adjustment layer. Maybe just bring that over. That was cool, I like that. Just giving everything a little bit of a yellow cast. I think it's a nice effect. Maybe do one more of those. And this will give everything a bit of a blue cast, but again, I'm gonna knock out, completely black out the layer mask, and I'm gonna paint back in up here so that that blue is only affecting kind of where the lightning is. You know, on the picture of my head, I have some like really subtle blue lighting, like right there and right there and right there. It's like bluish purple lighting. Maybe I can get some of that on my arm too. So let's go down to our upper body layer. And let's clip it to that layer. And let's get like that kind of purplish blue color. Just gonna eyeball it, something like that. Now, we only want that on the highlight, obviously, so let's go into our layer styles and go into blend if and just adjust that so it's only on our highlights. Okay, and let's try maybe overlay, soft light, color. Maybe a combination of a couple of them. So let's go on color, but let's tweak that a little bit. Let's do one on overlay. Maybe just turn that down a little bit. Turn our color layer down a little bit. Yeah, that's good. So now it matches a little bit more. So my face had that little blue kind of rim lighting on it. So now the body has it too. Just helps it bring it all together. Let's see. I'm just roughly painting in some orange here. This is really quick and dirty. Screen that back. Yeah, I like that. I like that kind of just extra pop of orange. Alright, so let's step back and take a look here. Because we might be done. We just might be done. That turned out really good. I think we're done. I like it. I really like it. So, you know what? Where the hell is that bandana? Where did I put that? For the grand revealing, let's get, hold on a second. All right, we're all set. So, we're done here. I can make the final reveal, and now the world can see how I view myself as the Photoshop warrior. king of compositing. Thanks for watching. This is your mom, by the way.